Man, the hits just keep on coming for our Detroit Lions. We are getting more and more news coming out, and it looks like the turnover is not just going to be exclusive to the roster. James Mitchell is now a Carolina Panther. The Chicago Bears have a new head coach. And it looks like that we are going to lose our defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn. Now, you guys know, man, for 3 years, me and AG ain't really been, we ain't been on good terms with each other. He don't even know who I am, but the defense, I ain't really thought he was all that. I didn't think he was all that, but he managed. But this year, man, I got a new level of respect for him because he was able to take the mystery men. He was able to take the mystery men and turn them into all-stars and take us to 15-2. And for that, he gets my respect. And we know that he's been the token black guy getting interviewed since year 2. And now this is the year that it looks like Aaron Glenn is going to have a head coaching job. However, it's going to come at a cost. The Detroit Lions are in danger of losing a plethora of coordinators. You have Hank Fraley, our offensive line coach. He could be gone. You've got Terrell Williams, our defensive line coach. He could be gone. And it gets worse than that. Check this out. This is coming from Jordan Schultz. Says sources. Aaron Glenn has landed back in Detroit via Woody Johnson's plane. All I can think of is there's a snake in my boots. No deal as of now, but sources say a substantial offer was made and the Jets' job is, quote, his if he wants it. So that means Aaron Glenn has to just say yes, and it's his. Glenn is currently constructing his potential staff. Here's where it gets juicy, which would ideally include Lions quarterback coach Mark Brunell if he doesn't get the OC job in Detroit, who could be in play as the offensive coordinator for Aaron Glenn. I'm also told Glenn wants to bring in a veteran DC who has been a former NFL head coach. Glenn, sources say, is still putting his offensive staff together. Former Jets special team coach Mike Westhoff could be an option should he decide to come out of retirement. Glenn is currently scheduled to interview with the Saints later this week. And there's AG. AG got some meme-worthy photos, that's for sure. So if you're following, it's literally up to AG. It's literally up to Aaron Glenn. This is all up to Aaron Glenn to decide whether or not he wants to remain with the Detroit Lions, go to the New York Jets, or interview with the Saints later this week. Let me just step off real quick. I know that our head coach is going to be devastated. He loves these guys. He loves the Chicago Bears head coach. And for those of you wondering, the Chicago Bears head coach is the new Matthew Stafford. He is the new Matthew Stafford. Any disdain I have for Matthew Stafford is over there now. I'm not going to cheer for Stafford. I'm not going to boo. I'm still going to boo him. And he's never welcome in Detroit to me. But the head coach of the Bears, he is where all my disdain goes. But it's going to be a new day for Detroit Lions head coach Dan Campbell. He's going to lose his offensive coordinator. He's going to lose, most importantly, his defensive coordinator. Don't forget, these guys coached in New Orleans together. They came over together. And don't forget, the Chicago Bears coach, he was already here. He came under Matt Patricia's regime. Aaron Glenn was Dan Campbell's guy. So we know our coach, man. And I'm a little worried about him. Is he going to be able, because this is a tough business. He's a tough dude, but we know he's emotional as well. Is he going to be able to get past this? And I'm sure initially it'll hurt, but we don't play the Saints this year coming up, so he won't have to deal with him this year. But Aaron Glenn. But now he's going to he might take Mark Brunell. Now I've heard a few of you guys say that Mark Brunell could be a candidate for the OC. A lot of times, people will take an offensive or defensive coordinator position due to the fact that usually the next step up is a coordinator, a head coach. So if if you're just like a positional coach, usually the next step up is a defensive or offensive coordinator. Those are the main two that you then get head coaching jobs. If you look at what Aaron Glenn said, according to Jordan Schultz, he wants an individual that has been a head coach before to be one of his coordinators, his defensive coordinator, I think it said. So he wants that. And if you narrow down the list, there's a few guys that could fit that bill. We see that Cliff Kingsbury, the offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders, who just bounced us out the playoffs, he used to be a head coach. And he's actually in kind of competition to be a head coach as well, his second time around. Speaking of Cliff Kingsbury, somebody brought out a really good point that Cliff Kingsbury decided that he would postpone some of the interviews until after a certain game he had. I can't remember if it's all the games or the one he beat us. Looks like it paid off, or maybe it wasn't sabotage. But this video is about AG. It looks like all the Jets are waiting on is Aaron Glenn to make a decision. Now I'll say this. For as much as I think we need a change with the OC and the DC, and as much trouble as I gave Aaron Glenn throughout the years, I want him to do what's best for him. If he thinks the Jets are what's best for him, we just heard that this guy chose to do something based on a Madden rating. That concerns me. But if Aaron Glenn feels like this is the place he wants to be, then good for him. Good for him. You know what? It's about time, because he's been putzed around for years after year. The Denver Broncos were never going to hire him. It was always going to be Sean Payton. It was Nathaniel Hackett, whatever year that was, they were never going to hire him. It was multiple teams that were never going to hire him. And as a minority coaching candidate, whether you like it or not, whether you want to hear it or not, I am happy for him, because these are hard jobs to get. I just hope he knows if he does fail, he might not ever coach in the National Football League again. So Aaron Glenn, if he does take this job or the Saints job, I wish him all the success in the world, because there are only 32 opportunities and very few coaches get a second opportunity to be a head coach. Even fewer get a third opportunity. And minority coaches, black minority coaches, they get even less. The perfect example is Jim Caldwell. Never coached again after the Detroit Lions. It goes on and on. You got guys like Todd Bowles. You got Raheem Morris. I believe this is his second opportunity. It could be his first. You've got guys that are able to do it, but they're far and few in between. So Ben Johnson, I've been talking about. Oh, I'm sorry. Aaron Glenn, I've been talking about him so much that I hope he gets a job. And outside of him getting a job, one of the really, really cool parts is that the Detroit Lions, if he is hired in a head coaching position, will get 2 compensatory picks, one in 2025 coming up and one in 2026. And we do not have a 3rd round pick in 2025. I believe we had 2. We gave up 1 for Carlton Davis, and I think we gave up another one as well. I can't remember where that. I think we had 2 3rd rounders for next year. I can't remember though, but I know we had the one that we gave up for Carlton Davis. So there you have it. Aaron Glenn, I fully expect him to take this job. I think that, and it's going to be intriguing, because if he goes there, you and me both know that Aaron Rodgers is gone. We already know, and I'm looking forward to it. That's if he wasn't going to retire anyway. But I would be absolutely astounded if Aaron Glenn and Aaron Rodgers are on the same team. I think his first order of business after he assembles his staff is going to be to decide what to do with Aaron Rodgers. And me personally, I don't think that he's going to be there. But the Detroit Lions will get 2 compensatory picks for next year, one next year, or this year coming up in this draft, and then one next draft as well. If by any chance Ray Agnew becomes a general manager of any team, then we'll get an additional 2 as well. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. It's time. It's time. It's going to be a lot of turnover because we haven't even got to the roster yet. And so now we're talking about Mark Brunell, Hank Fraley, Terrell Williams, the Chicago Bears head coach, and Aaron Glenn. 5 positional coaches and coordinators combined. 5 of them, who, by the way, fall under the Dan Campbell coaching tree. Just not, if you're an assistant coach, but the main ones in the coaching tree would be Aaron Glenn and the Chicago Bears head coach. I am done saying his name. As a matter of fact, I'll call him the saboteur. That's what I'll call him from now on. I got a thought about the saboteur. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Remember back 2023, a year ago, as a matter of fact, in 1 week, it'll be 1 year to the day. Remember we came out after leading 17 points at halftime, and the entire game plan changed. I didn't even realize this earlier, but the current Chicago Bears head coach, I think they wanted to go to Chicago last year. They thought Eberflus was going to be fired last year. Something to think about. Saboteur, good game. PlayStation 3, I believe, is on. You probably won't be able to find it now, but it was a pretty good game. It was an acquired taste. This channel was made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. Because you watch these videos, I get to do what I do. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions. I fully expect Aaron Glenn to be named the Jets head coach as early as tomorrow.